listening to
What the Tech?
Welcome to the What the Tech podcast, where we talk about business and office technology and put our 20 years of expertise to discussing trends and issues impacting the workplace.
This podcast is brought to you by Global Teck Worldwide, your technology office experts that's been around for 20 years, providing trusted, personalized office IT solutions. Check them out at amazon.com/TECK. That's amazon.com/TECK.
Still paying for slow, outdated business internet? Why would you do that? Everything is so expensive in 2022. But listen, you might not realize you can go to circuitloops.com, instant quotes to easily compare with what you're paying for and find the upgrade that's right for you. It's that easy. Go to circuitloops.com.
Welcome back to What the Tech. I'm your host, Rolando. And here we put our 20 years of expertise for you in the office technology space. And we talk about technology and where it intersects with business. And we like to talk to people that know what they're talking about, like today's guest, who has a thing or two to say about Amazon as well as being on Shark Tank. But before we get to our guest, Seneca Hampton, I want to bring out my coworker, colleague, and friend, Dave Kent.
Rolando, it's always a pleasure. I can't believe that Global Tech is celebrating 20 years in the industry. Who would have thought? What a wonderful trip this has been.
I know. I couldn't have thought. I would not have imagined 20 years in business when I started back in 2002 and how much the world has changed. There was a little company called Amazon back in the day. They were selling books at around that time. And then 20 years later, look at where we are today. And that's why today's guest is perfect to talk about this, because he's an Amazon seller, been on the platform for a long time. And we're going to talk about some stories and things. And so he'd be the great guest to talk about Amazon life and what that's like. Seneca is the founder of Hampton Adams. His brand, Hampton Adams, has been on Amazon for over 8 years, and he's in the 1% of all Amazon sellers. Not an easy thing to do. Seneca stock and notoriety has shot up since appearing on Shark Tank, where the world finally had a small glimpse into his mastery of being an Amazon seller. Famously, Mark Cuban said while he was on Shark Tank that he wanted him on his team. I will ask him about that and why a ruthless shark like Mark Cuban would say something like that. Like you, I want to find out more about what happened after the cameras went off and see what ended up happening after he left the tank. And he's going to fill us in on a whole bunch of other things regarding Amazon. Seneca, welcome to What the Tech. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing, Rolando?
I'm doing great. I am glad that you're on. So for those folks that maybe saw the 10-minute version of Shark Tank or maybe didn't catch it at all, let's hear a little bit about your story and how you got to this journey of being an Amazon seller and then what led you to getting on Shark Tank.
Yeah. So, man, when people ask me about my entrepreneurial journey, I go back to when I was a kid. Me and my brothers would come up to my mom and ask her for money. And she'd go, I don't have any, figure out how to make some. And she taught us, she used to go sell candy when she was a kid. So she took us to Smart and Final. I probably just dated myself by saying Smart and Final. Interesting. People are like, what is Smart and Final?
Is that a West Coast chain or something?
Yeah, it's like,
we don't have it on the East Coast.
It's the miniature version of Costco before, like Costco was on the West Coast. And it was kind of like bulk things that you could go and buy. And so we go and buy 20, 30 packs of like Snickers and candy, and we go to school and we'd sell them for like $1 or $2 and to make money. And then we go out and buy honey buns and Arizona iced tea. But it started then just wanting to make my own cash and not have to ask my parents, because their favorite word was no. And it wasn't in a way that was like mean or rude. They were just like, hey, look, we got bills. I can't afford to go and buy you $100 shoes. And that doesn't make sense. I learned very quickly, hey, you got to make money on your own. I was always the resourceful kid growing up. And so I tell the story of, I have 4 brothers. We go grocery shopping with my mom and we'd have a van full of food that we were all happy about. And we'd have to take it in the house. And I'd run in the house, come out, grab a skateboard, put the food on the skateboard and start like scooting it in the house. and she'd go, "What are you doing? Pick up the food and it was in bags, take it in the house." And I'm like, "Why? This is easier." And I was always like, "This is the lazy one. He just doesn't want to work." And all my brothers would be lugging the bags. And I'm like, "No, I just don't want to do it hard. There's a way to do it. Like, why do I have to carry it?" And that trait, I should say, has been with me my entire life, is always trying to figure out how to be efficient. And so fast forward, I tried to start countless number of businesses and they did not work. And then they didn't work, not because the businesses didn't work. They didn't work because I wasn't who I needed to be in order for the business to work.
That's
Um,
interesting. I've never heard it being put that way, that you just weren't ready for the businesses that you were trying to get going.
yeah. Yeah. We can dive down the rabbit hole a little bit if you guys don't mind.
No,
One
wherever
of the,
you want to go ahead. Shoot,
yeah,
spit some game.
that's one of the things I'm passionate. I'm like passionate about two things. One is financial education. And then the other one is, how would I describe it? I describe it as like responsibility, self-responsibility, right? One of the things that bothers me is when we blame other people or other circumstances for where we are instead of taking responsibility for where you are. I get it. You can't control everything. We all get that as entrepreneurs, things happen, especially on Amazon. Like
Oh,
you can't
oh,
control,
oh,
but you
tell me
can
about it.
pivot, and how you respond is very important. And so I think that frame of mind is so important in any business that you do. And so if you don't have that frame of mind of things go wrong or things are not the way they're supposed to, or things are taking too long, or things are not, it takes time, and you can't blame, "Oh, this business doesn't work. Oh, this is going too slow because of X." That's not you. No, it's you. And so I say I wasn't who I was supposed to be because there are a lot of beliefs that I have now that I didn't then, that I've picked up through experience and coaches and mentors and just education. A lot of businesses didn't work. And funny is I had actually given up or surrendered before Amazon. I was at this place where I was like, you know what? Like, this just not working. And I'm just going to go get a job, literally. And it's funny, the job that I stumbled into sold on Amazon.
Oh,
Wow.
oh, look at
Yeah,
that.
really crazy.
And did that start maybe I don't know, the Amazon bug or the curiosity? You said you've evolved, and that in that part of evolving, once you were in that role, did you find yourself like, maybe I could do that, or maybe I've got better ideas than what these guys are doing?
Yeah. So it was funny. I was at a job previously and I was on my path of, I'm going to figure out how to be financially free, build wealth, and do all this stuff. Broke in my 20s. I swiped my credit card so much for like courses and books and seminars. And I just ran up my credit card bill investing in myself. I don't know if I would recommend that for anybody out there. I had like $17,000 in debt from courses. I was just like, when did I read it? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. How many times have you guys heard people say Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Well, really was a mindset shift for me. And for me, it took my focus off of money is a byproduct. So focusing on it is focusing on exhausting the car. Like it's the wrong spot to focus on. And instead, if you can learn or you can be educated or get experience or wisdom or something that you can use to make the money and get paid to do it, you're winning. And so I set out, I was like, oh my goodness, like I want to learn, I want to invest in myself. So long story short, I was at a job and I was learning sales. And I convinced this guy who had a $50 million retirement portfolio of clients. He was retiring. I convinced him to move it over to our firm. And I was supposed to get a commission for this. I'm practicing sales. And I learned if you want to make money, you have to sell. The business is the sport of sales and numbers. Literally, right? You have no business if you have no sales, period. So I don't like sales. Don't do business.
Problem.
So I bring over this portfolio and my boss goes, "You're going to be the highest paid person here. You're going to make more than everybody here." I didn't have a series. I didn't have a license and we managed retirement accounts. So they were trading. I didn't have a license, so I could trade. So I ran all the operations and I brought over this $50 million portfolio book of business.
That's huge.
And I was supposed to get 20% of the fees that we got off of that. And I was 23, right? 23.
How come you got robbed here?
Oh man, whew, get ready. Because I ran operations, I moved every single account over Every single one. I spoke to every person. I got everything transferred from one institution to another, got all the POA signed and everything done. And so everything moved over, and it's time for us to get our first fee payment. And my boss at the time pulls me aside and goes, "Hey, so I've been thinking, I want to talk to you." Whenever somebody does that to you,
Yeah.
like, this can't be good. So he goes, "I want to talk to you." I'm like, "Yeah." So I've been thinking about it. And technically, your contract says you have to know each account. You have to know the person, but you brought over a book.
Really?
So technically, you don't know the account. So you're not supposed to get anything. Wow.
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 I don't even have the right words for that, but wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had no, and he said, we went back and forth a bit. And he said, "Look, I'm going to give you $4,000, take it or leave it." I was supposed to make like $250,000 a year.
That's
Yeah.
less an insult. $4,000 on what you're owed, which is $250,000. It's just a flat out insult. It's like,
When
here's
he
lunch
said-
money compared. Here's some lunch money.
Yeah, $4,000 after taxes. That's not changing anyone's life.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, that was one time. That wasn't on your salary. That was one time. That's it.
Wow.
And
So when he
and
said, "I've been thinking about wanting to talk to you," that individual's been thinking for a while how he was going to tell you that he's going to keep that money and that you're not going to get that money.
yeah,
Finding
it
a
was,
loophole.
and I was 23. Like, you're just a young, hungry kid trying to learn. And so oh man. And I'm not a loud, angry type of person. That's not who I am. So my response to it, when I told people, they were like, "Okay, you're better than me," because I would have stood up and started like going over $250,000 for 20 something year old
Oh yeah.
a year.
Man. I mean, flipping tables and one.
Yeah, man. My girlfriend at the time was so upset. She was so mad.
I'm sure she was counting the commission too on what you guys were gonna do. Maybe a
Man.
trip to some honeymoon place or a wild time somewhere.
So like, we're the opposite. So she's like if you put her in a market, she's the bazaar. Like, she's just like dealing and wheels. So like, for her, she was like, "Oh no, I'm going to go talk to him." I'm like, "Just let it go. It's fine. It'll come back around." So I put in my 2 weeks, I quit. And people said, "Wait, you stayed 2 weeks?" "Yep, stayed 2 weeks." They're like, "You're better than me." I'm like, it was hard.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. It was really tough. And hired this girl. I trained her for 2 weeks. I didn't badmouth the dude. I left. She quit 2 weeks later. She said he was a D-bag.
Oh.
I was like, "Oh, okay." I go home. I've given up. This is like, I had given up. I was like,
Sounds like you probably were somewhere in a very low place after all of that.
yeah,
You probably
yeah.
were like really like a low place. Like, I could have changed my whole life. My whole life would have been different with this.
Yeah,
It's made a
that was-
huge difference. And then some
Man.
a-hole really just pulled it right from under you.
And
Right
you were
from my
probably riding that high for so long. Every morning, you're thinking about when that will come in and how positive that's going to be and all the positive things. You're thinking about the future. And then when that came down, that's a hard low.
Man.
And it is hard to bounce back from something
Yeah.
like that.
It was tough. It was because I've been spending all this money on learning all this stuff, and I felt, okay, this is paying off. That one deal that's going to change my life as a 20-something-year-old. I'm going to be able to do this. I wanted to do real estate, and that blow, I quit, and I stayed home for 6-7 months playing video games on Twitch.
Did you learn any good video games while you were doing that?
I did, actually. I grew a pretty nice following. I had 4,000 followers, 3,000 followers. Pretty cool.
That's good.
I was like, I gave up, man. I was like, this entrepreneurial thing is not for the birds, but I was just worn. But because I quit, I had a little savings, and I was like, okay, that's not going to last long. And so I said, what can I do? I went out to try to get another job, and I worked for this lady for a couple of weeks, and she said, your heart doesn't seem like it's in this. She's like,
she's just, so you were still not recovered.
yeah, no, she could tell. And I'd let her know, the same industry. I'd let her know what the situation was. And she was like, yeah, that's not right. But she was like, your heart's not in this. I can tell you're somewhere else. And I'm grateful she did that. So for the first time, was it the first time? Yeah, I think it was the first time I had been let go. And I was like, wow, double dejected.
Oh my goodness.
I go home and I was building websites during this time, just like for fun, because I like design. And I jumped on Wix and I started building Wix websites. And they were drag and drop, but they were pretty advanced ahead of their time during that period of easiest way to create a beautiful website. And so I jumped on there and started designing websites, and they'd have a profile people could see it. People saw my profile and they were like, "Hey, come design." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Not a problem." So I started designing websites, and that got really annoying because it got annoying because the preferences that people have versus what looks good aesthetically, like objectively, in the principles of a design style, they would break them all the time and it wouldn't look good. It'd be like, I want leopard stripes with pink fur. And I thought you wanted modern. Like, I thought you wanted Scandinavian, like modern. And she's like, yeah, I'm like, that doesn't fit. This is what I want. And you become people's hand, right?
Oh
And they're
my.
paying you to be their hand.
Oh.
Triple dejected. I'm like,
So 3 strikes and are you out? And then something else changed? I know you basically, you're still learning, and from what
yeah.
you said, you're learning, you're evolving, acquired some financial background skills. Now you did some website design. You obviously acquired some gaming skills.
Yeah.
And so then what next?
So then that girl that got fired or that quit the other job that I had training, I trained her. She quit 2 weeks later. She calls me and she goes,
Right.
"Hey, I'm at this company. They're growing like crazy. I think you'd be a great fit." And I'm like, all right. And it was a customer service job. And I'd worked at Apple for 5 years. So doing customer service was like, I could close my eyes and do it. And so I was like, yeah, sure. So I went and they were selling light bulbs. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, yeah, can you answer emails? And I'm like, that's it? Like, yeah, easy. And so they say, so how much do you want for a salary? And I'm like, salary to answer emails? Like, what? And they're like, yeah, what do you want? And I was like, and I thought they meant like per month. And I
Yeah.
forgot the way the question was framed, but I was like 52. And I thought it was more like 52, like 100 every 2 months or something. It was a weird way they framed
Yeah.
it. And they're like, okay, cool. 52,000 a year. I'm like, wait, for answering email? The most I'd ever been paid in my life. I'm in my 20s. I'm like, I get 52 grand to answer email? Say less. So I'm playing Twitch, answering emails. Like, I'm like, this is so easy. And
Awesome.
the email the volume started to get bigger. And I'm like, it wasn't hard. It was really easy. But they came to me and they said, hey, we're overloaded. Can you help us? And I said, sure. How? And he goes, hey, come over here. And he opens up Amazon. And I remember, and I quote, I know, I'm sorry if people don't want to say it. I was like, who buys on Amazon?
Yeah.
What year was this? Was like 9 years ago.
9. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you
So
were
this,
just going there.
yeah. I was like, people go to the mall, like they go to Target, like who goes, or Walmart, like who goes on Amazon?
I'm
think they
sure
had-
that sometime in the future, I don't know, 50 years or even 100 years after we're gone, some people will be like, what were these guys thinking about who buys them? Or maybe they may own the world. I don't know. But
Yeah.
looking back 9 years ago, you're like, wow, yeah, of course. Everybody buys on Amazon now.
Yeah. They laughed. They're like, they're laughing. And they showed me and they were doing $1 million selling light bulbs. And I was like, oh, and I didn't think much of it. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. And it was their brand. It was branded. So I was like, okay, so they've got like this whole manufacturing thing. And I don't know anything about that. And he wanted me to come on the back end, edit some listings. And so I did that. And he gives me more to do. Yeah. And I had that principle now. And this is what I meant by I wasn't who I needed to be. I was like, ooh, okay, I can learn that. I don't know what it's for, but I'll learn that. And then they got so busy. They were like, hey, we need your help. Can you watch this video so that you can do this thing? And I watched this video on YouTube and it was some seminar or webinar. It was boring. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And in the top right corner, I saw a video about how to sell. Anybody can sell on Amazon. And I was like, what is this? And I clicked it. The video changed everything. And it was Greg Mercer sitting there talking about how he was in Thailand or wherever, and he was selling, I forget what he sold on Amazon. And he was making X thousands of dollars traveling the world. And I'm like, wait, what? Hold on. And so he starts describing private label. And then they had the bamboo stick, jungle stick. And so I signed up for that and I'm like watching it and the light went off. It went off. I was like, hold on. Everything that I've been learning up until this point, the graphic design stuff and dealing with that. I've been learning marketing and sales and copywriting and direct response marketing. And like all of this stuff had come together. And I was like, oh my goodness,
Awesome.
this is
so
the
awesome.
lazy, passive way that I can make money and start a business. And I was like, okay, I see it. So I came to work the next day and I was like, hey, what else you got? What else do you need? And long story short, I don't want to bore you to the deep, but I went from customer service, VP of marketing, and we scaled that thing to like 60 million on Amazon in 3 years.
Wow.
And
Ooh.
I got the I got the experience to launch over 1,200 products in the home improvement, like lighting, and then power tools, and like a bunch of
Yeah.
different products. I got the experience to hire, and before this, I had more experience doing it, but I got the experience to hire like 20 people, train them all. I hired people with MBAs, people with bachelors, people without degrees. So I got a lot of like my hands dirty. I was able to open a call center in Mexico. So we went down to Mexico, opened up a call center, trained those people on how to answer. Because I had the customer service background, I was able to
Right.
teach people how to do customer service.
Wow.
And so the processes and systems from doing the operations of the different jobs that I had before came into play, and I was able to build. So I was like, it was education, but and I seized it, saw it. I was like, oh, this is it. And I did all that, and I was watching it every day, and I was searching for a product. I searched for a long time because I knew that the product it will make or break your business.
And when you're saying searching, for those folks that are either new or are not really aware on, and wait, and we got a lot of tools and stuff that weren't available back then, but how did you
Yeah.
do that search? Did you just go on the internet? Did you just, I just randomly going to type in things, or how did you do that search?
I'll give context to the answer. I would drive to work, listening to podcasts. I'd be at work listening to a podcast, switch to a webinar, switch to a podcast, switch to the next webinar, drive home, podcasts, at home Facebook groups, dedicated. And so I was learning everything I needed to learn, and then I go to work and I try it at work. And I say that because I learned how to find products by just being so involved in the community and listening and reading and watching and testing and trying. And because I was able to see products that were working already, I was able to reference the numbers and go, oh, okay, BSRs, node rankings, SERP, keyword rankings, and all. I was able to see good product in active and when we'd introduce a new product, I could tell right away whether it was going to sell or not. And I was able to do that 1,200 times. And so out of all those one of them I saw, I was like, that one's not going to make it. Didn't make it. And it was, you start to see through the matrix. You're like, okay. Now, in terms of the actual like tactics of how I did it, you didn't have Helium 10. When I was around, AM PM podcast hadn't even started with Manny Coach. And then I was there episode 1 when he started it. I was there on his Periscope that he would do.
Yeah.
I was there.
I was
the
on there.
entire
I can't
time.
remember what episode. I don't know. I can't remember, 100 something. He was on
Yeah.
there. He invited me on there. And
Nice.
you were
Yeah.
episode 1 of AMPM?
I wasn't on it, like I was watching. And so,
You were consuming it.
yes, I've been in the background, the Amazon background for 8-9 years. And so if you scroll back in the groups, you won't hear me say anything, but I was just there like reading and learning. And so they didn't have Helium 10. Jungle Scout was the closest, and they didn't have the robust tools that they have now. So you had to actually go and like type in a keyword and then look at the number of products that come up in the top left corner of like,
Yeah.
how many searches there.
Old
Old school, man. Go
Man.
through the actual notes, open up
Rugged.
pages, man. So you had to understand how the platform moved in order for you to be able to pick a good product. You couldn't just go and punch in something into software and go, oh, look, great, sell it. And I think, I feel like a lot of people have problems because they go and they punch it in. They're like, oh, it looks good, but you don't understand the why. And you're looking at a snapshot. You're not looking at context. And that's the other thing that I really learned was really important, was the context of the product over time, and not just the seasonality, but from the point of it hitting the platform to its maturity and then going through stages. And so I had to it was spreadsheet calculating and just like hours of research to find a product. And I wanted to do something that I knew. I wanted to do something that I was comfortable with, something I was familiar with. And my mom was a phlebotomist when she was a nurse, and she'd come home and use all her tools on us, draw our blood and tape our legs.
You were the practice dummy.
Yeah, basically. And my dad was our football coach growing up, and we taped our cleats all the time. That was what you did. Like, you're not taping your cleats.
You're
Right?
your cleats to look cool. You need it.
You look good, you play good. So stop trying to look pretty and play. And if I don't look pretty, I don't feel good. I don't play
I'm
good.
dressing for success.
Yeah, hey, you know what I mean? And I remember he bought me these brand new Nike Speed TDs. Still remember them to this day. They were white and black. And I spatted them the very first time I wore them in the game. And I took them off. They had glue everywhere. And I was so distraught.
Ooh.
We didn't grow up with a lot of money at all. So I knew how much it meant to have those and what he spent to get them and how important they were. So it was like, I felt bad, and that moment never left. And so while I was researching, I was looking in sports because I played sports, and I was looking in football, and I played football, and I rolled across the product, and I was like, hold on, can I make this work? And so I dove deeper, and I won't bore you with the details, but I went through and solved all the problems that I could. And because I had studied copywriting and direct response marketing, I knew how to position it. And so I positioned it, and I'll tell you guys that story later. But
All right.
I sold through 300 units in 4 days. I was like, whoa. By the way,
it just started coming together.
yes. And
And was that right? Were you doing FBA back then, or was that seller fulfilled?
I was straight FBA. I was all FBA. So the cool thing is I was able to see a company that was doing $1 million. And because I was in charge of Amazon, I saw it go to 60, and I saw all the headaches and hiccups and all the things that could go wrong on the listings, and like Amazon's algorithm responding to different things. Like I was able to see it. So I was able to avoid a lot of the issues that a lot of people probably run into because I saw them already.
Heck yeah. You got to do a test drive
Literally.
before you went in and bought the vehicle yourself.
And get paid for
That's
it.
valuable.
It was the most valuable education that I got paid for, which maybe it's not Amazon for some people. Maybe it's something else. Some people want to be a writer. They want to be a video editor. They want to be a whatever, but they hate their job. And so you need to find the things at your job that you learn that you're going to need them at some point. I was at a different job, and I had to publish a book, and I was like, I don't care about publishing a book. I listen to audiobooks. Why do I want to publish a written book? But learning how to publish a written book from start to finish on Amazon, I now have that skill. I'm like, I know how to do that if I want to. Lo and behold, I need a book. I feel like there's that opportunity to be able to do that. But when I got my first batch of products, I didn't order them packed and labeled. I sat down in my living room and packed and labeled each one individually. And that was I put myself through the ringer on every step and part of the process. When it came
You're not
to
alone, Seneca. You're not alone. I remember when we started the private label side of our business, I had my mom and my mom, myself, and I recruited a kid or two from the neighborhood to come help label. Once you like sell more, like you say, oh, 300, maybe what happens if I sell 1,000? Oh, wow, I'm just going to fill up the garage. Okay, I can't do it all myself. And you yourself labeling for hours, and then it's your wife, and then, hey, doesn't our neighbor have a 10-year-old that wants some extra money? Yeah, bring them over and bring the sister. Let them. And we did that for a while.
Wow.
We did do that kind of thing where we were recruiting neighbors to put labels on product.
Yeah. You guys remember TaskRabbit? I don't even know if it's still around. TaskRabbit
it's
was
still, yep. I've
Okay.
had no success with TaskRabbit the last few days, but yes, it's still.
I went on there and hired a guy to come to my house and sit on my living room floor with me. We packed everything into poly bags and these little ugly labels that I created in Photoshop.
Using your own printer, right?
Yeah, literally. Yeah. It was crazy. But I wanted to go through all the things that I didn't understand and I didn't know. So that way, when something went wrong, I knew what was wrong and I knew how to fix it. And I don't say this to master everything, but jack of all trades, master of one. Like I understand how all of it works. So that way, if something goes wrong, I made sure to go through that grueling part.
But you're right, Seneca. If you and I were to just sit in a room with a bunch of other 1% sellers, I think all of them would say something very similar to what you just said. To be successful on Amazon, you really need to have a mastery of several different skills, because it's not enough to be good at ads. It's not enough to just be good at listings. And it's not enough to be good on the logistics side. And it's not enough to be good enough on the financial end. You need to bring all these skills and probably several others, and you have to master them, because it is a business being on Amazon, and Amazon has their own rules that don't apply on Shopify, don't apply on Google, they don't apply on Etsy or eBay or anywhere else. Amazon is its own planet.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, if you're going to Mars, you need to know the rules of living on Mars. And Amazon is like that.
You get to Mars and take your helmet off. I thought, like, no, that's not the way that works.
I'm picturing Arnold
you know-
Schwarzenegger in Running Man. No,
Was that the one where he was an alien, but he didn't know that he was an alien?
Yeah, what is that called? It wasn't Running Man. It was the other
Forget
one.
the
Where he
name.
goes to
I forget.
Mars and
One with Wahlberg. He goes to Mars and he uses his fecal matter to grow potatoes.
I think you made
Yeah, he went to Mars, and what was the name of that movie? Oh, or he probably remembers. He'll let us know. Oh,
Yeah,
Matt.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
always confuse the two.
Me
Seriously
too.
always confuse
Me
me.
too.
Matt Damon. Going
The Martian.
Martian.
Yeah. No, but I think you're right. 100%. I've done some consulting with agencies. Like I've actually consulted with agencies. And one of the things that I have to often remind them is Amazon is its own ecosystem, like vertically integrated. So it's not like, to your point, Google or Shopify or Facebook or whatever, where you have these separate entities that are tying together a funnel. It's its own funnel. So the principles, some of them don't apply. I'm going to get people to my listing by making a cool image and a great title, and another click on it. And then I'm going to convince them through persuasive copy. And it's like, bro, nobody's going to sit there and read through that. I'm so sorry. They're going to look at your reviews, your price, your pictures, and who else is on your listing and what they're charging.
Right.
But they don't want to see it that way. No, you're wrong. The story will always sell. And I'm like, you're right, but not in this context, man. You got to change the framing of it, of how you see it. And so a lot of times people run into the issue where they're like, my ads aren't performing. I'm like, it has nothing to do with your advertising or your strategy or any of that. You have a poor offer. Comparison to your competition. And they're like, oh, I didn't think of that. And if you were running in a foot race, would you consider the people that are running against you? Or would you just run however you wanted to run? You'd consider somebody foolish. You go, you're in a race. You should be watching where people are, and you should be taking strategic lanes for specific reasons. And I find a lot of people aren't doing that. And I got to see
That's the biggest mistake, Seneca. You just said on something. Would you say that's one of the bigger mistakes that people or businesses, once they go on Amazon, they don't really consider the competition relative to what they're selling?
Yes, I would. And the reason why I say that is because on other platforms, you don't have any. People come to your website, they're on your website. And so you take that same logic over and you're like, they're on my listing. That is not how that works. Literally right underneath your buy button, there's somebody with a tagline.
Everywhere. There's a distraction all the way around. All
Yeah.
of the top, the headers, the sides, the bottoms, in between the A+ content sections. There's all kinds of flashy red things that they're trying to send to you. Okay, you didn't like that over here. Maybe over this. This is one's recommended. These are the spots. Always.
And then if they do happen to click on something, they may not find you again. They just get down this little wormhole and they just start clicking around, and now they're still buying what they wanted to buy, but it's not your brand. It's somebody else.
Yeah. And I'm going to give away some of the secrets. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's okay. That's okay. Look, we're going to talk about some of those things here. We got some charts, so it's probably a good time that you're jumping in on the secrets part.
Okay. So like people are always talking about search terms and ranking. Those are very important. Don't get me wrong. But I think one of the most leapt on parts of Amazon is advertising on detail pages.
Okay, hold on a second. So I want to do this. I'm going to have you repeat that. Ori, can you throw in for filler space here? Put in a pro tip here so we get that. So I'm going to say
for a pro tip.
Seneca, tell us more about what secret sauce here that you want to tell us and give us that nugget. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I feel as if a lot of people focus on search terms, right, and ranking for search terms, which is very important, right? But one of the most valuable pieces of real estate on Amazon are other people's detail pages. And if you have an aggressive bid strategy on people's detail pages, you literally suck the life out of their ranking. And again, if your offer is superior to theirs, because it's a no-brainer.
Does price even factor into this? If you have let's say a comparable product, but you're maybe 5% lower on that ad that shows up on that detail page, does that work?
It depends, right? It depends on what it is. If it's, I don't know, a garter belt, right? How much are garter belts, and a 5% discount on that? What the fuck? Versus if you're a lower ticket item, it really depends on what the value of the good is to the person you're trying to sell to. But what I like to say is it should be no brainer. Somebody should look at it and go, okay, this seems too good to be true. Because now they're looking at your list. They're not focused on anything else. They're looking at your images. They're looking at your reviews, and they're going, this seems pretty good. Okay. Purchase. The thing that draws people, they go, oh, it's the image. I think there's a subconscious thing with the image. This is just my opinion, for sure, absolutely. But I think that price and that review count is like the 80 that pulls people in. And so when you're advertising on other people's detail pages and you have a seductive price and a nice review count, it almost before they click add to cart, they're like, oh, click. And you're catching sales through somebody else's listing. It's one of the most profitable ways too. And we'll talk about profitability in ads because I have a whole thought process on that. But it's a cheaper way.
That's interesting. So what you're saying is one way to get on, at least build some momentum, is maybe using other competitors or complementary products and those listings that are already getting traffic to pull traffic to your site or to your listing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cheaper than bidding on
Cheaper.
So now your dollar stretches further. Now you can hit more pages, or if most of your bid is going there, your CPC is higher than your competition. And if you have a seductive offer, your CTR is probably higher and your conversion rate is probably higher. And the algorithm goes, ooh, I like that. I'm getting sales from this. And now you're shaking hands with Amazon. They love it. And your competitors, oh man, what's going on with my sales? Where are they going? And very few people who sell on a platform know to check their page. You think, oh, my rankings, everything's fine in my rankings. What's going on? Guarantee you, go look at your listing page and look around. You'll see somebody on your listing page and go,
now you got another pro tip. Ori, give us another pro tip.
Here comes a pro tip.
So Seneca, you just said that you have to look at that listing page. Why is that?
Because if your sales are fluctuating or they're going up and down and you don't know why, but your rankings haven't changed, it's probably because somebody is siphoning sales from your listing page. They're probably bidding right below your buy box and there's all your traffic gone.
It's just bleeding away. So your listing is bleeding and you're not really sure. This is one easy way to look at what other products are appearing on that page besides your own.
Correct.
Wow.
Seneca, sorry, Rolando.
No, you go for it. You go first.
With that, you had mentioned that buyers are looking at reviews and pricing. Reviews are product reviews and seller reviews. Do you feel that those are both important? And what does your team look like so it's about that buyer's experience. If you as a seller are going to get a good review, the buyer needs to have a good experience. So what does the team look like for Hampton Adams? Who do you have working for you so that customer is getting that good experience?
Yeah. So I'll touch on the team side first, and then we can swing back to the price point. So for me, I have no team. So
you're going this solo?
Yeah. I have contractors that I contract for specific work when I need it. But in terms of employees that do X, there is nobody. I have a contractor that helps me with customer service. But because I spend a lot of time answering the questions people have before they buy, I don't really get a lot of customer service requests. And if I
That's
do,
efficient.
Very.
I guess it would just be very efficient because you used that word earlier, being efficient. It is very hard to be one or two, or a really micro business on Amazon unless you're super efficient and at that level that you're selling at.
Yeah, you have to. I feel one of the issues that I've run into is with Amazon in general taking 60% of people's profit off the top. And then you throw in ad costs and those are rising. I remember when my tacos was 11%, 9 to 11% tacos. Good days, good time. But those costs are rising more and more. And so you now at this point either have to raise your price, we know what that does, or you have to be more efficient in how you spend your money and your time. And so trying to figure out the most efficient ways for me to spend that get biggest impact, the 80-20 rule, big believer in 80-20. So where can I spend or my time or resources or whatever to get back majority of the impact rather than on the other 80%, that's not really going to get me what I'm trying to get in the immediate. So how I tend to look at it.
It definitely leads to good results because there are very few, you're in a company of very few when you're that efficient. Ori, can we put up the chart with the numbers that we talked about earlier? Can you put that chart so we can show it to Seneca?
And then Dave, what was the other side of that question?
So the other part was about the importance of good pricing. So how do you stay competitive with pricing?
Yeah. I think everybody experiences this. We all know who they are. The sellers that come in and try to undercut everybody,
Mhm.
ride the ground. I think you're no longer in the framing shouldn't be a price war. It's a ranking war. And so you have to figure out now, how can I continue to add ranking or keep momentum going with my ranking? Because I have a theory. It's just my theory, but I feel as if the higher your price point, so let me back up. The theory is this: the foot race on Amazon, and the foot race is a race of conversion, sales. Every sale you take is a step you take in the race. And I feel as if the larger or the higher your price and the more units you add to that order, the wider your stride in terms of how it
Because Amazon's
translates
making more money.
and how that translates to the algorithm, right? And to ranking. So somebody can have a lower price, but they're beating you not because they have a lower price, but it's because of the velocity that they're turning at that price, right? The footsteps that they're running in that race, your footsteps have slowed, right? So if you do have a higher price, then you need to figure out how to create, hey, add 2 products and get 20, 30% off. You need to figure out how to widen your stretch versus lowering your price. So I'm always thinking about the algorithm when I'm doing what I'm doing, not necessarily the price. So hopefully that kind of answered that question.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's, it definitely, so we're talking about the algorithm and how that impacts essentially your visibility. Because one of the ways to look at Amazon, I tell people all the time, is look at it as monopoly. You're not playing chess or checkers, which is one move and then somebody else move. You're playing against a lot of other people. And
Yeah.
if you land on the wrong spot, it's going to cost you. Monopoly is good because you have to be able to conquer different areas within Amazon. You're talking about somebody else's product listing. That's one tactic, and you can make things flow your way. But
Yeah.
what I want to do is talk a little bit about, Seneca, how Amazon is not a game for the weak or people that are not going to put in the hustle, right?
Yeah.
It is, you need fortitude, you need strength, you need hustle, you need to be a master of multiple areas. So much so that I've got this graphic here that I want you to take a look at. This was a Marketplace Pulse did a study of the 2 million sellers that are out there on the platform. And of those 2 million, you have only, let me look at this small on my end right here. Let me just open it up here, tell you the exact number. Or it's a little bit small on my end. So you have a small sliver that are making $1 million or more. And out of the 2 million, and if we were to say that if you are a viable business, not a person, but a business on Amazon, you can't have a viable business if all you're making is 100,000 or even 300,000. That's just not enough. That's
Yeah.
really not enough as a business to really grow, eat, pay the bills.
Correct.
So if you're a viable business, you're above that 1 million and probably up north of the 5 million mark.
Correct.
Look at where that 1% comes in. So less than 1% are in that north of $1 million mark.
Yeah.
And it shows you how difficult it is. And at $1 million, it's not like you're rich because you're not,
Yeah.
like you said, if you're pocketing off of the million annually, these are annual numbers. If you're generating $1 million in sales on Amazon, that's not the take home. You're not taking
Correct.
home $1 million. When you pay when you pay the supplier, the manufacturer, you pay Amazon, you pay the Amazon fees and the ads and everything else, you're taking some money home, but you're still not driving around in 10 Ferraris or anything like that.
Yeah. No, not at all.
And even at that, you see the numbers. It is difficult to get into that club of the $1 million plus annual club on Amazon. And so it really takes a lot of thought. And then for you, you said you evolved, you learned, you educated yourself, and you're able to climb into that 1% because it does take that. It's not as simple. I've been consuming a lot of TikTok lately, and I've seen a lot of TikToks and a lot of other folks get on social media and say, go to Alibaba, look it up with helium-10. It sells for $30 on Amazon. You go to Alibaba, oh, I can get it for 50 cents. Oh, and because helium-10 says that's a $200,000 run rate on that product, i.e., you could easily make the assumption that you're going to make $200,000 because somebody else is generating that on that one product. Like, that bugs me to no end because it's not that easy. It really is not that easy. You'd not even show up here in any of these graphs if you thought it was going to be that easy.
Yeah. This is why it's good to know marketing, because you're being sold. To
Sure.
educate yourself, right? You're gonna put me on the soapbox, Rolando. Don't put me on the soapbox.
I
I'm gonna
want it
start
because I've been
preaching,
on the
man.
soapbox the last couple of podcasts I've been on. I'm on fire with that because like yourself, I've been on the platform for a long time. Our company's in that top 1%.
Yeah.
And I think it's an insult to tell people who don't know better that you can easily go and grab the tools from Helium 10 or anything like that, like Jungle Scout or whatever, look up a product category, find the winners, and magically you are going to sell like the top 10%, top ones that are on page 1.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen. Like, it doesn't happen that way.
And then they market it as the side hustle. It's just passive income, just something that
Oh,
you can
man.
do on the side.
You know what? I got to work on another business 80 hours a week. So when I went to do mine, it wasn't like I got that education already. And so when you factor in, you're having to learn all this stuff, and you're starting a brand new business, and you're trying to figure all this out. It's not going to happen. Like, it's very nuanced. Like, I'm working on a project right now where people are selling new courses, and I'm like, what, do I want to sell a course to people to teach them how to get on Amazon? Because, like, I'll teach you, but I'm telling you, when you get on, the process to getting to top 1% is it takes years to do, plural. That's 2, 3,
Yes.
4 years to be able to do that. So teaching people to do it, yeah, sure. But I'd much rather help the people that are stuck at that 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 mark get over $1 million. Because they've already got it down. They've already got their system and the process. They understand the algorithm a little bit better. They're willing to make the commitment. They're dedicated. And there's just a few tweaks of things that they need in order for them to go, oh, like example, advertising on detail page thing, right? You lean harder into that, your sales go up for cheaper, right? There's just little nuanced things that people need to learn to go, oh, okay, cool, I can actually do this. But when I see that stuff, people, hey, just go to Alibaba and do this. I'm shaking my head because I'm like, you're literally lying. You're lying to
Yeah.
people. That's
Yeah.
not true at all. This isn't 2012. Like, you can't just go and,
100%.
don't. So for anybody who sees that, oh, I saw this thing on TikTok and he showed this little thing and it was 50 cents and then they were selling for $20. I can do that too. There's a lot of marketing that goes, you need to
Well,
understand.
you're right, Seneca. We were breaking this down before you came on, and we've discovered that at least on one of these platforms, one person that was doing this was not even an Amazon seller. They are a content creator or influencer pushing this stuff, and then really just trying to collect the affiliate marketing commission by pushing the software.
Yeah.
So their agenda is to really push people over to the software so they can discover stuff rather than actually understand the business.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to put me on another soapbox. I have been conversating with a lot of agencies lately, and there's a trend that I'm noticing. A lot of people so use the analogy of music. You oftentimes run into musicians who are savants at music, but know nothing about business, right? They could sound like an angel who just fell from heaven, but they don't know how to market their stuff and get it out. And you say, hey, you need to focus more on the business side of things, on the number side. And they say, I don't care. Like, I just love what I do. And in those instances, you go, I hear you, but if you want people to hear you, you got to be able to move to the other side. But I feel like on the digital advertising side or the e-com space, it's the opposite. It's so focused on the money aspect of it and the numbers aspect of it. And it's like, where is the passion for being good at your craft? I'm really good at advertising. I'm amazing at graphic design, or like I know how to increase conversion rates with whatever. Work with me because I'm really good and because I care. I care about the craft of what it is. It's, we'll just throw it into our templated process so they can go ahead and pay us our monthly retainer. Like, it's, and we don't really care about them. We just care about the money they pay us. And I feel like a lot of the courses, a lot of the programs, like, it's like that. It's like, hey, buy this product for $1. It's all on Amazon. I'll show you how. Join my free course. And then you join the course and then you're, and it's showing all these outliers that are not the reality. Because I'll tell you this, you want to learn how to sell on Amazon? jump into the Facebook group and just sit and watch and read. If you
Mhm.
still want to sell on Amazon after a month of reading, do it. But if not, don't, because you'll literally hear people in there telling the truth about what it's like, and it ain't easy. And there's a lot of skills that you need to acquire and pick up along the way that you have to become that person to have that business. There's a different person who thinks that way, who reasons that way, who believes those things. And if you're not that person, it's not going to be a quick, easy get rich. Don't do that to yourself, please.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a recipe for disaster to flame out and burn.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good segue for a couple of other things I want to ask you, because you were on a show. This is a little show called Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Where you brought your skills and you showed your passion and you demonstrated to the sharks a mastery that very few, even just sellers, are able to do, and stand on that carpet and dance, right? A lot of people break down and they get laughed out of the room, right? They get laughed off of Shark Tank. And that didn't happen, although it didn't have the ending that you wanted. I saw the whole episode, but the Mark Cuban coming out and saying, I want you to work for me. I don't think I've heard, maybe one other time, and I think I've watched almost all the seasons, have I heard him utter anything like that while he's really ushered people out of the room, basically, a lot of the times. He basically said, I need you on my team.
Can't really
Impressive.
Yeah. If I can be very honest, I didn't expect any of what they said to me in there. I watched the show, and one thing about the Sharks is they're honest. Like, they're going to tell you the truth, and they're not going to placate you. They're just going to be like, hey, look, this is what it is. Mr. Wonderful will tell you in a minute, take the thing out back, shoot it.
Yeah, shoot it, right? He says it a lot.
Yeah.
Take that thing out back to the set, shoot it.
Yeah. And so to hear them say what they said in the moment felt very surreal. It was like, there's no way. Like, this isn't, because a lot of times what from the inside out and what others see from the outside in is completely different. And I've had my head down focused for so long to do what I'm doing that it was a real shock and surprise to me to hear those things. I was like, oh, wow. Oh, okay. Cool. Thank you guys so much. You get an offer from Mr. Wonderful? Like, he's the first one to tell you this is dead. I don't want anything to do with it. Get it out of here, because he cares about his money.
Of course. He says it. I like my money, like it to grow.
Yeah, it still doesn't feel real to know that those things were said. But in terms of what Mark said, there are things that you can talk about and things you can't talk about on the show. I can tell you about what happened on it and what aired.
The stuff we saw, the stuff that we saw.
Yeah.
So let me ask you about this. What was it like for you to, you probably can't talk process so much because that's the producers and questions they ask.
Yeah.
But what was it like for you personally? Once you knew that you were going to be on there, what did that feel like? What were your emotions as you knew you're going to get ready for the live? Then you walk through those doors and boom, in comes the Sharks.
Oh man, I didn't want to do it.
Was it you didn't want to do it because of nerves? You didn't believe in the product? You just didn't want to have a partner?
So my wife convinced me to do it. She was like, you should do it. And I was like, nah, I'm good. So I've built my brand and done all this stuff. You can even check the Facebook pages. You rarely, if ever, hear me talk. I'm literally a ghost. And I like it that way. I'm like, I don't want to be at the top of the flat. That's not me. And so to be on TV and to do that for me was already, that's not really my style. And she applied.
Do a little bit of chest thumping, right?
Yeah. And I don't really like the posturing thing. It's people who know me know, like, Seneca wears black joggers and t-shirts and jackets. And that's him. Like, I walk around with a hip bag and people are like, oh, that's so cool. What is it? People wear fanny packs, festival bags. And I'm like, this is my bag that I keep everything in. This is just my style. This is who I am. This is me. And so I don't like to put on a suit and tie. That's just not my style. So to have to go on there and have to do any of that was a little off-putting. I randomly get a call and I'm like, hello? And they're like, hey, this is so-and-so from Shark Tank. What? And I look over at her. She goes, sorry. I'm like, oh my goodness. So
without knowing?
I had no idea.
You didn't know about it.
I had no idea.
Oh my! So what did she do? She sent in a tape, or she wrote something, or an email, or what?
However you applied, the lady applied. So if you guys want to go to Shark Tank, I can connect you with her and she can hook you up. But she applied and they reached out and you have to go through their process. And I did that, and man, they grill your entire company like you're about to get acquired by Sony. Literally, like their lawyers and everybody, they go through all your
Wow.
paperwork, all your legal stuff, all your, like everything. They're like, we're not gonna let anything show on the screen that we have to hear anything about. That was really intense. But the entire time, the entrepreneurial problem solving, people say, oh, not, my wife says, you're a pessimist. And now I'm a realist, right? And so I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, what is the backlash? What is the thing that I'm going to have to counter? Because you do that on Amazon all the time. You're always like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, how, like you're
Daily
playing
onset.
chess before it happens. You're making sure that things are set up so you don't have to deal with X, right? And so I'm thinking that I'm like, oh, man, she's going to stop this. She's going to do this. And she's like, no, it'll be great. It'll be wonderful. I'm like, nah, it won't be. And so the entire time I'm actually launching a second business as I'm going through this process. And the process is pretty involved. And so your time is demanded, your creativity is demanded, the details and attention to details is demanded. And I'm starting a second business, and it's Amazon DSP. People who are on Amazon.com know DSP is like display product, right? And display sponsor products. DSP is delivery service partner. So all the Amazon vans around the country driving and people dropping off packages, that's not Amazon.
Yeah.
Those are third-party company. And so I have one of those companies, and I was launching it during this time of getting ready for dark. So I'm exhausted. I'm like, I'm in a training for 10 hours for the entire week while on the other line, dealing with the producers and going through all this stuff.
And
at the
how
same
long
time,
did that process last from when you got that call
yeah,
to when you showed up that day for the taping?
it was a while. And I don't want to spoil their process, but
It's not a couple weeks, it's months.
it could be. I'll just say it could be.
It could be.
But yeah. And so they let you know, they're like, hey, this is going to be a sprint if you want to sprint, or it can be a marathon if you want a marathon. So I was just like, so let me get this out of the way. And the entire time I'm like doing this stuff and I'm learning this so I can like get it going. I'm like, do this like this. I should just tell them I don't want to do it. She's no, it'll be great. I don't know. And the entire time I was like, I don't know. And it wasn't because I didn't believe my product. It wasn't any of that. Like I read my review. So here's another pro tip. Where's my boy Morgan at? Morgan Freeman, where you at? I need a pro tip.
Yeah, give him another pro tip.
For a pro tip.
Okay.
All right,
For
go
all-
for it, Seneca. Hit it.
So for the sellers, right? One of the things that I do every morning is I read my positive reviews every morning, because it reinforces to you why you're doing what you're doing and the people you're helping. Because as you get going and you go, as a business owner, you're looking at the negative stuff and how do you fix it? And over time, that starts to eat away at you. Oh man, like this, people are leaving negative comments and reviews, whether they're fake or not, it gets to you. And over time, if you don't wash that off with something, it starts to put a stigma in your head of what the negative is, because that's all you're looking at, because you're a business owner, you're a problem solver, right?
Yeah.
And so I like put in this practice of, I go through and I read my reviews every morning and I really let them sink in. This is really helping people. Like people really like this stuff, and it keeps you going when things get tough. So there's something
I
for
like
people, because it hurts. It really does.
I like that because I see the negative reviews. I want to see the 1 stars. I want to see what they're about, because some of them, like you said, they're just like, you dunk the thing in the toilet. What do you think? It's not going to work. People do these crazy things and they say it didn't work for me. And Amazon gladly takes everything back. But yeah, when you spend a lot of time in the 1 stars looking for, oh yeah, that was a legitimate problem, or even the clowns that leave these types of really nonsensical reviews,
2 stars.
you're going to get jaded.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll read sometimes we'll read a 1 star and it will bring attention to something that we can go and fix. And that is good. That is a good feeling. But I don't think we read enough of the 5-star reviews, because it doesn't seem like there's anything to fix there. We want to focus on things that we can solve and adjust.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, I'm in this, okay, problem solving. Is that legitimate? Is that not? Let me talk to my factory. And so you're in this constant mode of doing that. And for me, it started to seep through, and it was like, is this really good? Is it really not? And a while ago, I put in the practice. I'm like, hold on. I'll tell you this. Here's a funny thing. Amazon sellers are quick to say, oh, that's fake. But yet you won't go read the 5 stars that are real. You need to take that in. That's a legitimate 5-star from somebody. You didn't pay for that. Like that just, it happened. And so it really has helped me, especially I have some products with 8,000 reviews, like 10,000 reviews. So the ratio of negative is still small, but it's a lot in volume because of the size. And so I've got, I don't know, 50 SKUs. And so you're always looking for the problems. You can see how you can start to get in the murk and the muck of stuff of, this is another issue or something. I started the practice of reading my reviews, positive reviews. And it
like
really,
that. I think we're going to have to incorporate that, Dave, and let some of the wonderful customers that are leaving those glowing 5 stars kind of balance out, like you said, wash over
Yeah,
some
I mean,
1 stars that we get.
and if you have a team and they're like customer service team, like every morning, we're going to read some 5 stars today, just so that they can feel like you're not working for a trash. This is actually a really good product, but you only hear the negative because people are more likely to talk about it.
No, I agree. I like that. I'm taking that one to the bank because that's something that I'm going to start incorporating. Hey,
Yeah.
Seneca, I want to ask you, like everybody else that goes on Shark Tank, the question that I know because I watch the show, I really like it, is what happens afterwards? The cameras go off. Obviously, some go turn into deals, some do not. But there are stories that happen after the cameras turn off in both ways. Sometimes deals that were agreed to on the Shark Tank, and I've read a couple of articles of people that have been on in the past, those don't actually materialize.
Yeah.
That something happens that they still can't agree to some terms, or something new pops up and the deal goes south. And then some where things start popping off after the show airs, and even if things didn't go their way on the show, all of a sudden a bunch of doors start flying open. What happened with you in your case?
Ooh, my inbox is it's insane. Like it's full of people who are like people who have positive things to say to me, which like is so refreshing because I'm so used to dealing with all problems and I'm on a team by myself. So there is nobody to go.
Pat yourself in the back.
Yeah, literally. So like the things that I'm hearing, like even from the sharks and all that stuff is really, oh wow. Like I've been so focused. I haven't really stopped to look. So thank you guys. So I've gotten a lot of positive things. I've gotten a lot of opportunities. Hey, I got an opportunity for you. And I'm like, okay. And I politely answer them. But one of the things that, anybody who wants to know who I am, I'm very nice, but I'm very direct. And I don't mean to be rude. I believe time is precious. Don't waste it. And hey, I have an opportunity. What is it? Like, why don't you just tell me what it is? Like, let's just cut to it. I had a guy recently, hey, I had an opportunity. Watch this 18-minute video. I said very politely, I'm going to be very honest. I probably ain't going to watch it. But what is the opportunity? And he went on about the video, about how I should watch it. And I was like, hey, man, have a great one. But you're just not getting to the point. There was one. I've had people go, hey, I've got this product, business, can you partner with me? I've had news outlets reach out. I've had business owners who want consulting reach out. I've had influencers reach out. I just had a conversation with LSU. And so
Go Tigers.
Yeah. We're potentially going to be supplying every athletic program in the school with.
Oh, that's got to be big, man. That's at least a springboard to more NCAA schools. That's a big endorsement for you.
Yeah.
If that goes through and they start using it.
Yeah. So we're excited to there's a lot of great opportunities that have come from it. Me being me, I'm still sitting back waiting for the negative. I'm like, where is it?
Because you've been on Amazon for 8 years. So this is what happens when you're on Amazon for this long. And we've been on for about 7 years. And so, you're just waiting. Dave knows. We talk daily on some days where this happened, that happened, and when you look at the big picture, we've have 5,000 orders that we ship, and it actually comes down to 10 people that are trying to really spoil your day out of the 5,000.
Exactly.
And we are not focused on the 4,990 orders that came in that month because 10 were so loud and angry about what happened.
And the part that's interesting is Amazon magnifies the 10.
They give a lot of, you know what, that's the thing. If that one person that it has the potential even to bring your listing down because of a problem they had wasn't able to do that, it would be one thing. But Amazon gives a lot of weight to some of these complaints. Because they give a lot of weight to these complaints, that's why for me, they're very important. I want to know I want to see all the 1 stars because and sometimes your listing is down and then now you find out, it was this thing that because this one person didn't like or was not happy about. And so you pay attention to that. But again, that's at the cost of the over 4,900 people
Yeah.
that were so happy during the month, they almost forget about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it interesting that like that just that dynamic of 49, like 5,000 orders and there's 10 of them that are just like, they ruin your day. And I'm by myself too. So I'm like, so when something happens like that, it's like it's one review. It doesn't matter. So anybody does one review, it doesn't matter. It's like, when you see your 4.5 go to 4.6 from one review, it ruins your day. Like you're literally sitting there. Oh my goodness.
Or it dips you below 4. You're at 4 and that one brings you below 3, that 4, because that's an important benchmark. Amazon likes to push things that are 4 and above from a ratings and a reviews perspective.
Yeah.
So you fall below 4, you're like, oh, this person, I can't believe it.
And then if you're a newer seller who has lower volume, so 5,000 sales is one thing, but if you're doing 100 sales and you get the same 4 negative reviews, you just went from 97% to 64%. And you're panicking. What I do like on the seller reviews is having an opportunity to reply as the seller. And that happens a lot. Whenever I see like new restaurants pop up, my wife and I will be like, check it out on Yelp. Let's see what people are saying about it. When the restaurant owners are replying to the negative feedback, it gives me some hope that, you know what, they're acknowledging that there was an issue. We should still go and give them a shot. What's your opinion on replying to that, the negative seller feedback? Do you stand up for yourself and reply? Is that extremely important? Do you encourage sellers to do that?
Yeah. So negative feedback, we'll throw a pro tip in here pretty soon.
The pro tip. Awesome. Tell us the pro tip on seller feedback.
So seller feedback, I remove all my negative seller feedback, all of it. If you ever see any that wasn't removed, it wasn't because I lost the case. It was because the customer service rep didn't do their job. But there is a way to get all your negative seller feedback removed. Like I see people go, Amazon didn't take it. There is a template you can send them that will literally get that removed. It is not difficult to do, but I do. If I remove it, I respond and reply to them. Typically, if it's something about the product, I'll just refund it. I'll refund it and then I hit, what does the button say? A remove, right? I'll refund them and then hit remove. And then I'll go and try to message them as well. So I feel as if seller feedback is one of those things that a lot of people kind of sleep on. It's like seller feedback's not important. I believe from what I've seen, seller feedback actually helps you introduce new products and get them moved quicker. What I believe. Because now Amazon goes,
and you can actually, and you could see the feedback. I know a lot of people don't know this, but you can see the feedback and the rating. So Dave was talking about a 90 or 100 or even 60%. This is the ability to, as a consumer, be on Amazon, click on the link where it says sold by. And if it's not sold by Amazon, it's sold by a third party, and see their rating on Amazon. And this will allow you to expose all the seller feedback review that Seneca's talking about.
I feel as if sellers, they don't focus on it enough. When I first started, I had an email campaign that was so good, Amazon stopped me from being able to send emails to customers.
It was working. The click-through rate was off the hinges.
My click-through rate was like 70, 80%. Like it was insane. It was copywriting. But what happened is, I think Amazon's bot flagged it. They're like, why is this guy getting so many opens and so many click-throughs and so many reviews? Like it wasn't reviews, it was feedback. And because I had worked with a different company and I saw their feedback and I saw what they were doing and what feedback volume allows you to do. I feel from what I've seen is feedback volume allows you to introduce the second, third, and fourth product and Amazon to move them quicker because the account is trustworthy, right? The product is one thing, but the seller is another thing. And so they have two levers of, we don't know you, sir, ma'am. So we don't know how to move your product really. And we don't know what this product is either. So you're fighting, I feel like, again, two barriers. But when that product will start to gain reviews. If you can get reviews on the account, Amazon goes, this is a trusted seller. We like them. They're great. They introduced a new product. Like, all right, cool. Let them go versus a new person who introduces a third, fourth, fifth product. Amazon's like, we don't know you, bro. So,
and I've heard that from other sellers, the other large sellers as well, that when you're larger, you may get a little more leeway on things with Amazon. They're less likely to cut you off at the knees.
Yep.
Your ratings are, if you're higher, you have a very high rating on Amazon. Also works in your favor when some of these disaster things strike. And you have just more ammunition because if you're like, you've been on the platform for over 8 years and you're consistently in the 90s in terms of your ratings, it's very unlikely you're going to go rogue and send somebody tape that's been half used. That
Right.
drives me insane. The other pet peeve is Amazon, please don't send the used stuff to anybody that's paying for new. Don't do that because people get upset, right?
Yeah.
They're supposed to do that.
Seneca's
But
dealt with that.
any seller that sell a lot of products on Amazon will tell you that doesn't always happen. So if you're watching this podcast, Seneca could tell you, I could tell you, Dave could tell you, is if you get a product and it's used and you paid for new, it's not us.
Mhm.
We're not trying to fool you. We're not trying to steal your money. We can't control what Amazon does when it goes into their warehouse.
Yeah. No, we have no control. I've connected Amazon to my website. So when people purchase from a website, we ship from Amazon. It's a way that I can efficiently get people products quickly and not have, because then I have to charge people for shipping and I have to charge an insane amount. It's a quick and efficient way. People buy from your website, they don't know that, right? They're like, I thought you were shipping it. Why is Amazon shipping it to me? You have to explain that. But even on the Amazon side of things, people get stuff and they're like, you, the seller, they're talking to you because they don't understand how the back end of all works. These people have
Right,
warehouses
right.
all over the country where we literally send in stuff and they move it across the warehouse. Something gets damaged in transit and they still ship it because the person standing in the warehouse putting it in the package doesn't care. They're just like, I'm going to get my $15 an hour and label in. And you get it and you're mad at the brand. You're like, you sent me in this. No, the person who put it in the package didn't care. They sent it to you. The UPS driver who's getting paid $18 doesn't care. He stepped on it. He gave it to you. So there's a lot of people in the middle of that process before you get yours. So it's just something to consider. That is it. Majority of brands on Amazon, I would say, they're small businesses. They care. That's why they do what they do. Yeah, they want to make money, but they care about the product and the brand that they created. So I highly doubt that they want to sell you something cheap and trash and pawn it off as gold.
No,
right?
no, not at all. Yeah, because you have
Yeah.
every sale counts and you want to make sure you can get as best a review as possible because you care. I want to ask you something. I want to pivot into another area we call
Yeah.
rapid fire. All right. These are we're going to, what's that?
I said, oh,
Oh no, this is what you think, your opinions, there's not a right or there's no wrong answer. Let's put it that way. There's no wrong answer here. We're going to start with a simple, yep, thumbs up or thumbs down. So I'm going to ask you like a word and you tell me, yep, thumbs up or thumbs down.
Okay.
So here we go. Podcasting, thumbs up. Cold calling, thumbs up on cold calling.
Yeah.
Surprise. That's a surprise for me. Trade shows, thumbs up or thumbs down with trade shows, says Seneca. LinkedIn, thumbs up for LinkedIn. Instagram, thumbs up or thumbs down. Another thumbs up. TikTok, another thumbs up. I got a couple more. Facebook, thumbs up for Facebook.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, wow. That's a surpriser for me. Twitter, we'll figure that one out, Ori. We'll figure out a graphic for this. All right. I get three more in here. Pinterest.
It depends.
That's
Yeah,
a
it
tweener.
depends,
That's a
man.
3/4 there.
It depends. Some people swear by it, but
You're dabbling into that right now, so I don't have an opinion 100% one way or the other either. Now, these are a departure from the last few here. These are also thumbs up, thumbs down. Splitting eights. Because you're in Vegas. Vegas is your backyard, right?
okay.
So what thumbs up on splitting eights at the casino?
Ooh, I'm trying to think. I'm splitting, baby. I'm doubling.
And the last one for thumbs up or down. Let the thumbs speak for themselves. So this is something that we've been just so you know, we're when we finalize the podcast, it's gonna be less really rapid fire. It's gonna be really fast. So it'll look a lot better when Ori's done
all good.
giving it the treatment.
Sorry
Now-
for burning
now
your guys'
these are-
time too. I know I can.
No, we're here we're towards the end here. These are short answers, and then we're gonna wrap it up here.
Okay.
Creative agency. We were talking about agencies before. Are you more in favor for people doing things when it comes to ads, PPC, in-house or outsourced? Which
In-house.
would you prefer?
In-house.
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 All right.
Yeah.
What is your favorite phone on your app right now?
Or your favorite app on your phone.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is your favorite app on your phone right now?
Ooh, what have I been spending? I'd have to look at the numbers. I'm such a data guy. They give you a report.
Which one do you hang out with the most? What app are you in the most right now?
Oh, right now, probably Facebook.
Facebook. Okay.
Yeah, probably
Facebook.
right now.
All right. Now we're going to turn it to the Sharks again. Your time on Shark Tank, you got to see these guys and gals
Yeah.
up close in person. Who would you say was the most down to earth shark?
Mark.
Mark Cuban. Okay.
Yeah.
The most down to earth was Mark. Best show in Vegas. I want to go to Vegas. Everything's opened up again. What's the best show to go see in Vegas?
One of the Cirque du Soleil's.
Oh yeah, those are good.
I'd say
I've been to one. Oh,
Yeah, I like
at
O.
Bellagio. All right, there
Yeah,
you go.
I like
The
O.
O at Bellagio. The next most important thing, if you go to those shows, because they're always in the evening, you got to have dinner. Best eatery in Vegas.
Ooh, that's tough. I'm not really a foodie. But whenever we go to Delmonico's,
Okay. All right. All right.
Steakhouse.
So Delmonico's. If you're heading out to Vegas, Delmonico's. I happen to like. There's a really good place out on the west side of Vegas. Honey Salt. It's
gotta
off
try
the
it.
strip,
Okay.
off the strip, so it's a little quieter. But they got a really good chef there. Really good food. Honey Salt. So plug to Honey Salt. I don't know if they watch the podcast, but there you go. The last segment here, we're gonna do overrated, underrated, and then a must-have. Okay.
Okay. So those are three
overrated,
options.
underrated, and must-have. Yeah, those are your three options that have thumbs up, thumbs down.
Okay.
Seller tools like Helium 10, Celex, and the such.
Ooh, that's tough. Overrated.
Did all right.
Overrated.
FBA, overrated, underrated,
Must-have.
or a must-have. Drop shipping.
Overrated.
Chinese sellers,
Underrated.
they're underrated. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime Days.
Overrated.
Yeah, for us, we just haven't seen that. We see traffic, but we haven't seen any better sales on those days. So for our products, we see better sales on the other days around it,
Yeah.
before or after. But Prime Days hasn't really lived to what we want to be. Have you tried Amazon Live? And if you have, what do you think? Overrated, underrated, or must have?
I have not been able to get into it quite yet, but I would say it's overrated. Yeah.
Overrated.
You can put me. There's lots.
Two more left on this.
Okay, yeah, we'll come back. We'll
Overrated.
come back. We'll come back.
We'll come back to that one. Product inserts.
Must have.
Must have. They work, and that's been our experience too. And lastly, I know you got a lot on this as well. Aggregators, overrated, underrated, or a must have. Overrated. And I think the record shows that this year the aggregators are starting to see that it's not a party every single year on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're starting to feel the pinch. Some of them have frozen spending or slowed down their acquisition pace, and some have even started to lay people off. So things are changing, and the aggregator party may be ending. We don't know. We'll have to see how the rest of the year plays itself out.
I think it'll change. It'll change more to I think what they're realizing is we got to keep the owners on, because they're jumping in from a finance background and they're going, oh crap, we don't know what we're doing. We thought we hired somebody that knew Amazon. The owner knows it best. You might want to keep them there. So I think you'll probably see a lot more of that.
We'll have to see. Can't disagree with you. I think that's the only way you take a bit. If you really scale, you need the insights of the owner, operator, or founders to really do that instead of sending them to the exits. So now, as we wrap up here, Seneca, if folks want to get in touch with you and they want your wise, sage advice, whether it be how should I get on Shark Tank, or I need to blow up, how can I scale and take a business from 100,000 to over $1 million? How should people get a hold of you?
If you guys want, not much activity, I need to be better at it. But go ahead, follow me on Instagram at Seneca Hampton or on YouTube. Yeah, just type in Seneca Hampton, you'll find me. I need 100 subs so I can get my own domain. Come on, people, help me out.
Yeah, there you go. Let's get Seneca over the hump on YouTube. So go ahead and follow him on YouTube. Hit the subscribe, bell, whistles, all the good stuff so that he gets not only to 100, but maybe it's 1,000 and then some.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else you want to add in here while we got you here? And did you want to plug or anything like that, Seneca?
Yes. So what I would say is this: in order for you to get past that hump of 6 figures a year into 7, 8, you need to have a very refined process down. And that goes from which products you pick. There's a way to do that. It needs to go into your logistics and supply chain, right? It needs to go into your launch strategy, your growth strategy, how you protect your brand and your team, right? You need to nail down all those things. If you can nail down all those things and get those to run, then all you need to do is literally just pump the process. And I think what you'll find is a lot of people who have scaled to 7, 8 figures and beyond have a very refined and dialed in process for how they introduce product, how they rank a product, and then how they grow the product. If you guys want to learn that, tons of YouTube videos, people jump in the groups. You can learn that as well, or hit me up on IG, and I'm happy to sit down and walk you through that.
Awesome. Seneca, you said so much today. I really appreciate you coming on What the Tech and helping us out and spreading the word on what it takes to be a successful seller on Amazon. So Seneca, thank you very much for chiming in today.
Cool. Thank you. Sorry.
Thanks for listening to What the Tech. Be sure to check out our other episodes featuring awesome tech and amazing guests. Find them on circuitloops.com or wherever you consume your favorite podcasts.